Now, so what exactly did this order permit? Well, it says you can collect the tax identification number from a third party instead of directly from your customer. Now, previously, under the old rules, it was very clear you had to get that tax identification number from the customer themselves. There was a little bit of a loophole that allowed credit card companies to gather maybe 4 digits of the tax ID number and then fill in the rest of the numbers through some third-party process. And they've been doing this for years. Really what this order says is that, you know what, we're going to open up that loophole for all other financial institutions, okay? So a couple of things to keep in mind here. First off, if you're going to take advantage of this, there's going to be some legwork. You can't just say, okay, well, now we're gonna do this. You still have to have written CIP procedures. So if you're going to take advantage of this, what exactly does that mean in practice? You're going to have to update your procedures at a minimum, but then you're also going to have to update your risk assessment if you're going to enable this kind of tax identification number process where you're getting some of these numbers from third parties. You still have to verify that you receive the whole number prior to account opening. So whatever your process is, that's one of the requirements still. That didn't change at all. And you just have to have risk-based procedures to make sure that you're doing this. You still have to meet all of the requirements for supporting this reasonable belief that you know the true identity of your customer. That's the overarching requirement of CIP. That hasn't changed at all. And if you are going to rely on any third parties, you have to make sure that you have to have documentation that you've evaluated them and you've made the determination that they are reliable and it's verifiable that the information they're giving you is correct. Okay, so that's third-party management that you'll have to have a process in place for that. Now, what's interesting is this loophole that's expanded. They didn't open it up for if you have fintech customers that are not customers. You have fintech companies that you are working with. So it's not really clear if you have a fintech that's doing it, if they can rely on the same loophole. So just keep that in mind, that it's a little fuzzy there. What I can say is a lot of the fintechs are trying to go above and beyond what all the requirements are for CIP. But that's one of the areas that's open. If you have one of those partnerships, just know it's kind of unclear whether they can also rely on this on your behalf if they're collecting that kind of information on your behalf. If you take a look at the kind of letter C as I'm going down the outline here. Like I said, you still have to meet the minimum standards of CIP. None of that's changing. You have to have documentation that you received all of that information prior to account opening. If you have any third parties that are involved, you have to make sure that they're following all of the privacy rules and make sure that there aren't any problems there. And you would want to have a clear audit trail. So however your process works. If you're going to open this kind of Pandora's box, and it could be there's perfectly legitimate reasons why you would. It's just not something you can flip on. You'll want to make sure you're checking off all these boxes. Unfortunately, my concern here is that this is going to be a headache for a lot of BSA officers. Because you're going to have maybe somebody on the board of directors decides that, this is a way that we can really push for our online account opening. We can make it super easy. And what they're not going to realize is that there's all these downstream headaches because they're focusing on growth. If we can do this and we can, partner up with one of these companies. In fact, you might have some of these companies that have been facilitating this type of CIP process for the credit cards. Chances are they're going to be reaching out to your management team and saying, hey, we can do this for you as well now. And here's our slick process. Just know that there's going to be some due diligence that goes into it. That process may, it may not mesh well with your current, whatever your, system is. So there are some concerns. Okay. And the other concern that you want to make sure that you keep an eye on, so I'm actually moving on to letter D now, is okay, so let's say you flip this on and you say, okay, we're going to gather 4 digits from our customer, and then this third party is going to complete out the social security number for us, okay, as part of our account opening, probably online, however it works. So you get this social security number, you apply it to your customer's account. Are you going to recognize if let's say at a later date the customer comes in and gives you a social security number and all 9 digits, and it doesn't match what you have on file? There's going to have to be a way that you would catch that if that were the case. So just know that there might be some red flags that you might have to incorporate into your system to be on the lookout for these things. If you do get that number, are you going to go and double check, every single time you get it through another source? Or is it just going to be an internal thing that maybe for some products and services, you aren't relying on this third party? But if I'm a customer and I apply for something subsequently and I give you a number that doesn't mesh with what you have on file, is that going to generate an alert? And the other thing that isn't getting a lot of play here, mostly because it's very confusing. In fact, I'm not 100% that I've got my head wrapped around it. Take a look, Roman numeral 2 under letter D. So there's an IRS component to this. Under the Internal Revenue Code, it specifically says that you have to collect all 9 digits from a customer, and this goes into your backup withholding. And so on the tax side of the financial institution, just know there's a little bit of disparity there, and they haven't really resolved it. Okay, technically, it says if you don't receive that number from your customer or their representative, you have to have a 24% backup withholding. Okay, and I'm talking a little out of my area of expertise here, but apparently that's what you have to do if you didn't get the social security number from the customer, and it says 9 digits, and there isn't this same loophole here. So the question is that going to cause downstream problems? Because if you collected this 4-digit process, it doesn't meet the requirements of that IRS code. Okay, so maybe we'll get some guidance from the IRS that might resolve some of this. Just know that that's a question that's out there as well. You might want to talk to whoever your people are who handle that process and make sure that they're clear on it as well.